All of Canada's vaccines are highly effective in every combination that we have. And I presented data last week that showed that here in BC, and we have similar data from other provinces in British across the country. For those who have taken AstraZeneca, who've taken the vaccine that was offered to you at the first opportunity, you did the right thing. And I thank you for doing that. It has made a tremendous difference in transmission of virus and in protecting both yourself, your family, and your community.
We're pleased to hold another press conference today because of the events unfolding after the committee session of last Monday, when our colleague, who I hope will still be able to join us this morning, asked Pfizer a question, and the answer was really what made the news. Put in a nutshell, the cat is out of the bag. It was a gigantic lie, what they told us, that these vaccines would prevent you catching this virus or would prevent transmission.
Was the Pfizer COVID vaccine tested on stopping the transmission of the virus before it entered the market? If not, please say it clearly. If yes, are you willing to share the data with this committee? And I really want a straight answer, yes or no, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Regarding the question around, did we know about stopping immunisation before it's entered the market? No. We had to really move at the speed of science to really understand what is taking place in the market. And from that point of view, we had to do everything at risk.
In protecting both yourself, your family, and your community. And your efforts have helped to reduce the spread of this virus in BC. And the data that we presented last week show that these combinations work and work well. We are now actively working with Health Canada and will continue to work with the Public Health Agency of Canada to make sure that Canada has a single internationally recognized vaccine passport that includes the recognition of these combinations.
Well, none of that was true, as it turns out, and based on that lie, all of the mandates, all of the lockdowns, all of the non-pharmaceutical measures as wearing masks, staying at home, curfews, all of that was based on that gigantic lie. And yet, they will not acknowledge it. No, they just go ahead with whatever they want to do with us.
And yes, there is a small fringe element in this country that is angry, that doesn't believe in science.
Well, here we are, the end of 2022, and we've had over 10 million cases of COVID. The Australian Health Department, of course, stopped counting around September sometime because I think it was getting too embarrassing to admit that despite with over 20 million people being vaccinated, over half the country had caught COVID. Whatever happened to protecting you? Whatever happened to protecting you? But we don't want to talk about that anymore. We'll just pull it off the website and not discuss it. We'll not discuss it. And then we've got the excess deaths that Senator Babbitt talked about before. We had 8,706 extra deaths last year, despite the fact that New South Wales locked down for 3 months. So in theory, the deaths should have been lower, like they were in 2020. But let's not count 2021 in the ABS figures, or sorry, 2020 they're not counting. Let's pretend nothing happened there. Almost 140,000 jab injuries, more than all the injuries reported from vaccines since 1971. More than all the injuries put together. You've got an injury rate that's 3 times higher, and yet the TGA don't want to look at the signal. The whole point of having a database where doctors report these injuries, where they tick the box suspected, and as the doctors say, they don't fill these forms out because they don't have the spare time. They don't have a lazy 20 or 30 minutes sitting around filling these forms out if someone fell off a bike. No, they're ticking these boxes because they believe that the vaccine caused the injury that they are reporting. And yet the TGA want to pretend that there's nothing to see here. And why wouldn't they? Because Professor Skerritt is head of an organisation that is funded by BigPharma. That is funded by BigPharma. Now, if you want to talk about a conflict of interest, that's it. That's it. And these guys have no idea what they are talking about. I asked Professor Brendan Murphy, who was the Chief Health Officer at the time, whether or not he'd actually read the non-clinical report into the Pfizer vaccine. Guess what? He hadn't read it.
Okay, question from Callum. If a dog wore pants, would he wear them like this or like this?
This question summarizes you and the Liberals. This is what's important to you. How a dog would wear pants.
That doesn't believe in science? That is lashing out with racist, misogynistic attacks? But Canadians, the vast majority of Canadians, are not represented by them. And I know will not allow those voices, those special interest groups, those protesters who can, I don't even want to call them protesters, those anti-vaxxer mobs, to dictate how this country gets through this pandemic and how we recover our economy free from lockdowns, where people can get back to work and back to doing the things they want to do and keep our kids safe. They don't get to dictate policy of this government. I don't know. I think the whole point of pants is to cover your bum. So I think I have to reject this one. Even though, yes, he's got legs in the front, I've seen enough cute dogs walking on their hind legs or standing up that I think I'd go with option 2 on the dogs wearing pants. Thank you, Callum. I think with that, I am out of time. Happy holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Thank you for putting in your questions. I enjoyed it. I would have loved to got through more of them. I think it's a great way of being connected and hearing from you directly and answering some really good questions. Merci beaucoup tout le monde.
Have you taken the vaccine, sir?
No, I haven't taken it yet.
What has Pfizer got to hide? This is a question that we are all asking after we found out that the CEO of Pfizer, Albert Bourla, pulled out. He refused to come and answer some concrete and specific questions. Questions that I think all of us and all of you have. And the first question is, what exactly in these contracts? What are they hiding exactly? I mean, in the previous press conferences, I showed you some of the pages, from these contracts. This is how they were disclosed to us, and to the public, and to the press. Obviously, after some of us and some of the brave journalists asked, what are the contracts signed between the European Commission and these pharmaceutical companies? So this is how they disclose the contracts. Over 100 pages. Every contract with Pfizer, with Moderna, tens of pages of those contracts were blacked out. So yesterday when we asked, I was the one asking, and some of my colleagues asked, when are they going to fully release these contracts? The representative of Pfizer, who was sent to replace the CEO of Pfizer, said that they can't fully disclose these contracts because they have some commercial secrets over there, and they have to protect their interests. Now I'm asking you, what about the interests of our people? What about the interests of the Europeans whose money was spent, or wasted, I would say now, to buy these medical products that are not providing what they were marketed for? Because what we found out yesterday, when one of my colleagues asked if they tested, in this case Pfizer, if Pfizer tested, if their medical product is stopping the spread of the virus, we were shocked to find out yesterday that they haven't tested their vaccine to see if it's stopping the spread of the virus. So we are now more than a year after the green certificate, the digital green certificate was imposed in the European Union, and people were forced to be vaccinated with a medical product in order to exercise their basic fundamental rights, and they were told, and we were told, we were voted against the green certificate, but Many of our colleagues voted in favor of it because they believe what these companies have said, that if you get vaccinated, you will not be infected and you will not spread the virus. They even ran a campaign and said, get vaccinated in order to keep your grandmother and your parents healthy. And we find out now, after more than a year, that when they requested the special marketing authorization, they haven't tested the vaccine to see if it's stopping the spread of the virus. So I'm asking again, and we are asking again, what are they going to hide? What do they hide exactly? Why aren't they transparent with their medical product? We heard yesterday, I was shocked. Because Pfizer used this opportunity just to do a PR campaign and even lecture us, why are we asking this and not asking that? Who are they to question us? What kind of questions do we ask? We are elected by the people for the people, not they. And they are supposed to answer all these questions, which they have not. There's another issue right now raised all across Europe. The excess mortality rate in the month of July 2020. According to Eurostat, in the month of July, the excess mortality rate all across European Union went up 16% more than the average of 2016 and 2019. Now, if you look on the map here, this is released by the Eurostat. It's not from us. If you look on this map, you will see that the countries with the highest vaccination rate have right now the highest mortality rate. So obviously we asked, is there a connection between being vaccinated and having a higher mortality rate? Everybody's avoiding answering this, I would say, logical question. There's another issue. A year ago, I requested EMA to submit some details and data to me because I wanted to have an informed decision, I would say, when I voted in favor or against the green certificate. And one of the questions that I asked EMA is to send me all the trials, the tests, the clinical trials that all these medical companies had done, either in animals or in humans, before they requested the marketing authorization. So in the case of Pfizer, here's something interesting. Comirnaty. When they submitted the information and the clinical trials to Pfizer, here's all the tests that they submitted along with their request. They submitted a clinical trial that started in January 14th, 2020. I asked yesterday the representative of Pfizer and she declined to answer. How is it possible that we, the world, found out in December of 2019 that there is a COVID, or coronavirus as it's called, in China, December of 2019. On January the 11th, the Chinese government released the DNA data, or a segment of it, to the public, and 3 days later, Pfizer already started the tests for this vaccine. How is that possible? She did not answer. In the case of Moderna, and I've asked the CEO of Moderna 2-3 weeks ago when he was here, they submitted trials since 2017. So I'm restating the question, how is it possible that when we found out in the fall of December, winter of 2019 about this virus, they submitted tests of their vaccines years before we found out about the virus. And I'm still asking that question now. How is that possible? So these are the legit questions that we all asked, and then people are asking us. And unfortunately, they are declining to answer. So these were the main topics, I would say, that we tried to clarify yesterday. And unfortunately, the Pfizer representative, as Moderna representative, declined to answer. We will keep pushing to clarify this fact, and nevertheless to make sure that the European Commission is going to fully release the content of these contracts. Thank you.